Giving our condolences to the family of Spencer Webb, to Oregon football. The tight end, guy was a heck of a player. You remember he mossed the Auburn DB in the end zone when they played recently, passed away. Just a horrible news, horrible situation. I mean, there's nothing that any of us are going to say that's going to make it any better for the family or anything like that. It's just a terrible situation. At this point, you can just give your prayers and condolences. And just a tough day for college football, tough day for the Oregon family, but our thoughts and prayers are with everybody there. Just a tough situation.
Sad news.
Very. It seems like we have tragedy all the time now. But Big 12 Media Days are underway. College football analyst Adam Breneman joins the show, and Justin Rose withdraws from the Open due to a back injury. I'm Jake Crane. It's Thursday, everybody, and welcome to Crane & Company. Has done at Baylor has been nothing short of elite. I mean, he's totally flipped that program in a small amount of time, and now they were just chosen to win the Big 12 for the first time ever, and it's a great story. But so is Little Red Riding Hood and Goldilocks, but it's all fiction. And while I expect the Bears to claw out another good season, I have Oklahoma taking home the Big 12 championship in 2022, and I know that Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams decided to leave Oklahoma to go surfing in the now doomed Pac-12, but the Sooners snagged Dillon Gabriel from the portal and tabbed former Ole Miss offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby to man the same position in Norman. But the reason I am picking Oklahoma isn't because of the offensive stars. It's because Brent Venables is going to bring a level of physicality and discipline to Oklahoma that fans there have not seen in some time. Some coaches are incredible motivators. They can get their players to know they genuinely want what's best for them. That's how you get somebody to run through a wall for you. And Coach V will have practiced physicality and speed at an all-time high. So for all the writers and people that cover Oklahoma, I guarantee you're going to hear some sounds at practice you haven't heard in a while. And going back, one of the main reasons that Oklahoma State and Baylor were able to do what they did last year is because they were one of the most physical teams in the country and the two most physical teams in the Big 12. So add that dog mentality to the talent the Sooners already have, and I think you may not only have a contender to win the conference, but also maybe to sneak in the playoff as the fourth seed. Now, Oklahoma is in the middle of somewhat of a rebirth in the way they tailor their identity. Long gone are the days of winning by outscoring teams only, and in are the days of knocking people's teeth through the back of their throat and making them fight for every inch they get. They will go from styrofoam to concrete, from carpet to hardwood. And that is exactly what a team destined for the Southeastern Conference soon needs to have. I'm going to bring in David Cohn, Blaine Crane, my co-host as well. Guys, a lot of people are loving Baylor. Oklahoma State, too. Returning the guys they return. We're about to show you who we believe, record-wise, how it's going to stack out in the Big 12. I'm interested to ask Adam Breneman about it. But I always find it so interesting when you transition from one mindset to a different one. The way Lincoln Riley does things, and I'm not saying it's bad, but the way he operates, the culture and the identity that he developed is a whole heck of a lot different than what Brent Venables is going to bring to Oklahoma. And in that conference, where outside of last year, where you could almost call it a defensive conference, it's been just an offensive firework display. Nobody can stop anybody. Everybody's scoring. You got to outscore them. If you can be that team that has the talent but has that grit, that has that dog in you, that is physical, that intimidates you at the line of scrimmage and beyond, you can make a lot of hay in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. I disagree on Oklahoma this season, and not because I don't think Brent Venables is going to be a great coach. I think he's going to have a lot of success there. Jeff Lebby's one of the best in the business, and Dillon Gabriel can sling it around the yard. I'm happy to see him, be back in college football and have a home like Oklahoma. My thing is, in my experience, when you have a new coaching staff take over at a place, especially one where there is a philosophical identity shift, right, from offensive-minded to defensive-minded like you're talking about, that takes time. That takes time, especially when you're trying to implement toughness and a defensive mindset into a conference that hasn't traditionally had that, except for last season between Oklahoma State and Baylor, which is so interesting, which is why I still think those two teams finish at the top of this conference, and we're going to get into the rankings here in a little bit. You both coached. you both hopped around from school to school, and you've been part of new coaching staffs who had to build something up. I mean, part of what I'm saying, you look at someone like Ryan Day, who took over in Columbus, right? But he was already a part of that staff for Urban Meyer, and plus he was the one running that offense, and it was offensive-minded, and there wasn't a player shift. Not only did we see Lincoln Riley go to USC this offseason, but a lot of players went with him too. So even though you bring a good quarterback in and you have some high-profile recruits coming into Oklahoma, don't you think it's going to take a season or two?
Under normal circumstances, yes. But now with the transfer portal, I think you are able to bring in not only talented players, but be able to recruit to that identity through players that already have experience. But there is a connection between Jeff Lebby and Dillon Gabriel. Jeff Lebby left UCF in December of 2019. 2019 was the first year that Dillon was there, and that's the reason that Dillon ended up going to Oklahoma.
I'd forgotten that.
So the continuity there is big, but it's not just at quarterback to me. I think defensively, it's a little bit easier to transition that mindset when you're somebody like Brent Venables. That's why, to me, Venables is the ultimate variable. I think since he is a defensive guy and a tough, hard-nosed physicality, get after your ass at practice, we're going to do things this way. I think with the ability that the players on the roster already had at Oklahoma, I know some left, Mario Williams left, Caleb Williams left, but the talent they had, they kept their offensive line coach, who you look at what they have up front on the offensive line now, and a coach that led that offensive line to the Joe Moore Award in 2018. You were able to keep him, so that's huge up front on the offensive line. So I think the transition, when you mix the portal, when you mix the continuity from Lebby and Dillon Gabriel coming in, when you have the same O-line coach and a leader, I believe they're moving his last name escapes me, moving their best offensive lineman to center. I think Oklahoma has a chance in the Big 12 to make a move.
No, I would agree, but I do think even to install that mindset you want to install, you have to have your guys in there to get it exactly how you want it. First of all, Oklahoma is going to have talent regardless because they're Oklahoma. Dillon Gabriel's a great quarterback. Jeff Lebby's a great coordinator. But to get them over the top, and I still think there's not a clear-cut favorite in this conference. There's 4, maybe 5 teams that you could realistically say could win.
Maybe the most wide-open conference in football, Blake.
This conference. But I do think this was such a regime change from these guys. It's so new to get them over the hump to win it. I just think they need a couple more years. I think Venables needs a couple more guys. You lost Penfrey, one of your best D linemen.
Yeah.
You know, and still Oklahoma was terrible against the pass. What's been stopping Oklahoma this entire time is their defense. Offense hasn't been the problem.
Yeah, Perrion Winfrey was at Iowa Western.
Yeah, exactly. Who's an absolute
player.
stud.
And again, but Oklahoma does have talent and the way they've recruited.
Always.
But again, I am with you on this, maybe the most wide-open conference in college football. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up, before we get Adam in here, let's go ahead and pull up the graphic of our predictions for the Big 12 this season. I want to get the Booster Club's thoughts on it. I'm going to start. I got Oklahoma going 8-1 and winning the conference. I've got Baylor and Kansas State both going 7-2. I love Kansas State this year. I love Chris Kleiman, what he brings. Deuce Vaughn. You look Adrian Martinez, who I know at Nebraska wasn't a great situation, but I think he's kind of the perfect quarterback for what Kansas State wants to do. I love what they return up front. I think Kansas State has one of their biggest years. I think they could maybe be a top 15 team, David, before this is said and done. I've got Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy coming in at 6-3. I know they return the quarterback who's first team preseason all Big 12. I get that, but I'm not 100% sold on them as a complete team. That's where I kind of worry about Oklahoma State. Then Texas at 6-3. You're breaking in a new quarterback. Quinn Ewers is a heck of a player. He's a heck of a prospect. It's going to take time. I know Xavier Worthy at wide receiver is an absolute witch. Bijan Robinson is smoother than Honey Dijon, but I just don't think Texas on the defensive side of the ball, and there's a huge difference between Sark, the way Sark does things, and Venables does things. I think that Venables, I mean, look at what Baylor did. Baylor was known as a Cottonelle soft, throw it around, mix the splits up. Art Briles, we're going to score 70 points and only give up 50. He has totally flipped that in. Went from 2-10 to winning the conference. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done. But I got Texas going 6-3. I know that's going to upset some Longhorn fans, but I do think Sark is a guy that can help get Texas back where they think that they should be eventually. Now, Iowa State, I got them 4-5, David. I actually got Oklahoma's only loss on the road in Ames. Oklahoma does this typically. Ames is a weird place. Been up there, coached up there. It is a tough place to go win, and they always snatch one. Brock Purdy's gone. I know they're big on the Hunter Deckers kid, the backup there. losing Charlie Kolar and some of the guys that they lost, even though, Breece Hall as well at running back's a tough guy to replace. I love the Hutchinson kid at wide receiver. He's coming back, a big-time playmaker. I just don't think they have enough. And then Neil Brown in West Virginia. I know they have JT Daniels. I just don't think they have the roster. I got them going 3-6. I got TCU going 3-6, even though the Sonny Dykes hire I wasn't the biggest fan in the world of. Interested to see how that goes. And then Texas Tech, I got going 1-8. I like the Zach Kitley move coming over. I just think it's going to take more time there. I know they're trying to recruit speed. We'll see how that turns out. And then Kansas, I think you're going 0-9. I know they're excited about the quarterback. Coach Leopold's a really good coach coming over from Buffalo. But again, it's like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. I just don't believe. But again, for all you kids in the car, they're real. So maybe I do believe in Kansas.
Okay, bring mine up really fast here. All right, look, I have Oklahoma State winning this conference this year. Coming off a 1 yard away from winning that conference last year. That was a hell of a game. I think, that is going to play in their minds throughout the entirety of this season. They returned their quarterback, Spencer Sanders, which I think is going to be a huge factor for them. I think he needs 8 wins to beat Mason Rudolph to be the winningest quarterback in that program's history. But I have them winning at Baylor. I think they go to Baylor, so that's where this gets very interesting to me. I have them both finishing 8-1 with Baylor losing that game to Oklahoma State. Now, Texas and Oklahoma both at 7-2 here. So I'm bullish on these top 4 teams in this conference, with Texas losing to Oklahoma State and Baylor and Oklahoma losing to Texas and Baylor. But I actually have Oklahoma finishing with a better record because of their non-conference schedule is easier. You think Texas has to play Alabama early in the year. I think that's going to factor in. So big eyes on the Red River Shootout this year, which I think is October 8th. I believe is the same weekend that Texas A&M goes to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, what a weekend. I can't wait.
Then a lot here in the middle with Iowa State, West Virginia, Texas Tech. Like, who kind of comes out of the middle of that pack? We heard a lot of great things about Iowa State last year. Didn't really live up to the hype. I think their quarterback's gone now. What's West Virginia going to do? They have to come all the way over for these games every year, but they play tough football. We get down. I'm not as big on Kansas State as you are, but I know that Kansas State's going to finish better than 1-8 in the conference, and I feel that TCU, despite the change over there, is going to finish better than 2-7 in the conference. But where do I give them wins? I mean, I'm so big on the top 4 teams in this conference this year, especially when you look at Sark entering the next year, and Brent Venables coming in, what we were talking about, Oklahoma. Where do they get the wins? That's my biggest question.
Yeah, I will say this. Oklahoma does get Kansas State at home. They get Oklahoma State at home, and they obviously play Texas in a neutral site. So that's another reason I had Oklahoma number 1. Their biggest games are at home in the conference as well.
Texas Tech 4-5. You somewhat believe them. They're 4-5. Everything's new there.
Yeah, no, I get it. To me, that Red Raider football, they're pumping a bunch of money in. I think they just announced yesterday, not that that'll necessarily help this upcoming season, but again, I think about them the same way that I think about West Virginia.
It's a crap.
It's always scrappy.
Yeah.
It's always scrappy.
Okay, bring mine up. Come on. Might as well.
I haven't seen yours.
I believe.
Yes.
Wow,
for the 37th year in a row.
I want you to look in the camera.
For the 37th year in a row, baby, the Longhorns are back. Let me tell you why, okay? Cool. I know Quinn Ewers hasn't thrown a pass in a college football game. I know he hasn't, but deep down in my gut, I believe in this kid. I believe he will be probably one of the best, if not, I'd say top 5 quarterbacks in the nation this year.
Really?
I really think so. I mean, you got the Lambo at running back. The only thing, so you have Xavier Worthy at receiver, Isaiah at receiver. These guys can absolutely play on offense, and Sark's another year. It's just getting closer and closer to me for Sark's time to show up, and you'd be so surprised of who I have them losing to.
Who?
Kansas State on the road.
I'm not surprised.
I have them losing to Kansas State on the road. I believe in Texas will be back this year. Your defense can't get any worse, okay? It's only up from here, Sark. Come on, man. I believe into you. Show me the way. Who are we? I am. All right, Oklahoma, 7-2. Oklahoma's going to be a very good football team, but I still think it just needs time. Dillon Gabriel will be a great quarterback. You lost your leading rusher, I believe. You lost your 3 best defensive players. Venables will have these kids right, but it's going to take time. And I don't think when more experience comes, when Venables can get more of his guys in there and set that tempo of how he wants to play the football game, that's when you'll see them get over the hump and win it all. Then I got Oklahoma State at 3rd. Oklahoma State's defense last year was so freaky, and a lot of people don't give them enough credit. They were so freaky. But what did they lose? I mean, they lost their best middle linebacker.
Yep.
They lost 4 guys out of their secondary. Let's look at their offense. Their offense wasn't great. I mean, they were 8th in yards per play. They were last in the conference with 40-plus yards per play in a game. So they weren't explosive at all. The defense saved them in a lot of games, and those guys aren't coming back. They will have somewhat of a good front, absolutely, but the linebackers in the secondary will not be as good. So I have them there. Baylor, 7-2. The scary thing about Baylor is you go and you look at their schedule. First of all, I got to see more of this Blake Sharpen kid for me to really believe in it. What was holding Baylor back last year? A lot of quarterback play. Their defense was great. Aranda knows how to get the X's and O's and the Jins and Joes to absolutely know how to do it. But you got to think, you go to West Virginia on the road, you go to Texas on the road, and you go to Oklahoma on the road. Those are going to be tough games. I mean, you're going to have new experience on that defense, still be good, but not good enough. Then my sleeper in this conference, and I know I have him 6-3, and maybe I'm just a big JT Daniels believer, but I like West Virginia. I think West Virginia is going to have a better year. I think Neil Brown, the head coach, is coming into his second year. They play a certain brand of football, and I think their offense is going to be fun. I wouldn't say phenomenal, but a lot better than what they were last year because of JT Daniels. You go back and look at Georgia, they were killing everybody. Then he got hurt, and then they put Stetson Bennett in, and you saw what happened there. But I still think JT coming out of high school, even coming out of he's a 5-star. I mean, I still think he's the real deal. And then you get lower than that, then it's just a crapshoot. I do think Kansas State will play better this year. Iowa State, still don't believe in it. Won't probably for a long time until y'all switch it up. You run it 99% of the times. TCU, I mean, everything's new. From TCU to Texas Tech, then you get down to Kansas, and I just don't believe in Kansas.
I don't either. But I want to see what Adam Breneman thinks about our predictions. Let's go ahead and get Adam Breneman. Adam, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. It's good to finally talk to you.
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me on.
No doubt. So, which one of us got it right, and why was it me?
Yeah, I love the Oklahoma pick to win it all.
Nice.
I think Venables has that place, has that culture, headed in the right direction. I've talked to a bunch of Oklahoma players just that I've had relationships with, and they all say that the culture there is almost improved from what it was with Lincoln Riley, and they're really excited about that the trajectory of the program. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel can sling it and throw it around. You guys mentioned Jeff Lebby, and he's a beast. I mean, one of the best OCs and play callers in the country. So I'm excited to see Oklahoma. I will say, you guys are giving no love to West Virginia. So one out of the 3 was. I'll give you that. But I think Neil Brown's in kind of a make or break year at West Virginia. JT Daniels is a really good quarterback. I mean, he hasn't lost a game in 2 years. He didn't lose a game at Georgia. He's obviously extremely talented. They've got some good transfers in. So I think West Virginia, I'm not saying they're going to win the conference, but I think West Virginia is going to be better than people think.
Adam, when you look at Texas Tech and TCU and some of these places, I know Oklahoma has a new coach, but we're expecting a little bit more, I think, out of Oklahoma than some of these newer coaches. Out of those kind of smaller schools in the middle, or not smaller schools, but the schools we have in the middle of the pack there, do you see TCU having a quicker turnaround with Sonny Dykes? Texas Tech. I love the hires that Texas Tech made. I just feel like it's going to take a little time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Sonny Dykes is kind of proven himself as a program builder. He's done a good job at SMU, obviously, and he can recruit at a really high level. He's put together a good staff. I think for both those programs, you mentioned Texas Tech as well with Joey McGuire and the staff he's put together. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around that Texas Tech program right now. You guys mentioned it, but that investment they announced and their facility upgrades, I think both of those programs will take a little bit of time, but they're obviously recruiting at a level that neither of those schools have recruited at in a while. So you normally see those effects in a year or two. So I think they'll be back pretty soon, and they'll be getting to the top of the Big 12. But I don't think it's going to happen in 2022.
Another coach that's a little bit under pressure, in my opinion. I mean, we've talked about James Franklin and obviously Scott Frost, all the low-hanging fruit that we can name, but Matt Campbell there at Iowa State, it hasn't exactly just been a illustrious run here. I know it's Iowa State. I've been up there. He has totally turned that place into how he wanted. but they need to start getting some wins. And you just lost Brock Purdy. You lost Breece Hall. I know the Hutchinson kid is an absolute monster at wide receiver, but if you're Iowa State right now, if you're an Iowa State fan, are you getting a little bit anxious about Matt Campbell, Adam?
Yeah, it's the nature of college football, right? With the hot seat becoming hot every year, it's very much a "what have you done for me lately" business, as you guys know. But going to the Cheez-It Bowl at Iowa State doesn't cut it anymore. And it actually, the fact that going 7-6 and at Iowa State, and we're talking about a coach being on the hot seat, tells you how much he's turned that program around and gotten it to the level it is today. I was talking to someone about Matt Campbell real quick. Matt Campbell, and he was such a hot name, just 2 years ago in the college football world of he had so many opportunities. It seemed like he was turning them all down. And it's kind of a good testament that you got to jump when your name's hot, right? Because he's not on those short lists, or at least not on as many short lists anymore.
Well, the old saying is you want to strike while the iron's hot. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What do you got?
Well, let's go to Texas for a second. There were a lot of cultural problems last year, especially towards the end of the season. Steve Sarkisian enters year 2. Quinn Ewers comes over from the Buckeyes. I think they return maybe the best running back in college football in Bijan Robinson. What do you expect from Texas? Do they have a realistic shot to win this conference like Blaine was saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be at the top of the conference. As you guys know, I think Oklahoma's going to win it, but Quinn Ewers is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he hasn't even played yet. I mean, this guy's so talented. We tried to recruit him when I was at Arizona State. We obviously didn't have much luck, but I remember sitting in our offensive staff room and watching his tape, and everyone just looking at each other and saying like this dude's the best quarterback we've seen in a long time. So I think he's obviously special, and when you have a good quarterback, a lot of things just end up taking care of themselves. So I do think they're going to have a good season, and Sark's obviously building that thing the right way, and obviously got the big commit too from March Manning, and there's a lot of excitement around that program right now. I did a video a few days ago about why Texas football is back, and I definitely got some flack for it, but I'm gonna say it. I think they're back
for sure. Well, I will say you just got to get him past the Bama game. That's my be healthy, because I watched Bama pick up DeAndre Francois and rip him in half in front of everybody in the world when he was at FSU. So Quinn, I don't know. Maybe that's a game where it's like, listen, buddy, go out there. It's all down here. It's all down.
Get out there.
You start hearing things like it's a long season. I remember when we had Rhett. You remember we had Rhett Lashley on last year? Yeah. And Miami was playing Bama, and the first game he's like, we're just gonna go out there and throw our hat in the ring. Want to stay healthy. It's the truth. It just is.
It is.
Get any harder.
It's hey, go out there in the first quarter, get some reps, see what it looks like. We'll save you for the. All right, Adam, I want to go to your alma mater and get your take here on Penn State. They open at Purdue on a Thursday night game. They have to go to Auburn, and that's before they have to run the gauntlet that is the Big Ten East. What do you expect from Penn State this season, and where can they finish in that conference?
Yeah, I think Penn State's in a good position you look at their roster. You look at, again, the quarterback position. You got Sean Clifford back for his, what I like to call his 13th year of college football, it feels like.
Purple shirt.
I think it's year 6 now. But people forget, right? Penn State was number 4 in the country, undefeated, going into play Iowa last season on the road. They're up at halftime. Sean Clifford gets hurt, and the season goes downhill after that. I think James Franklin's done a really good job, and this is probably my alma mater bias coming out, but I think they're going to have a good season. Obviously, going to Auburn's not easy before you even start your real Big Ten play, right? No one in the Big Ten wants to go on the road in the SEC before conference play starts, but I think they brought in some really good transfers. Transfer wide receiver Tinsley came in. You got Parker Washington. I think the receiving core looks good. It's year 2 of Mike Yurcich's offense at Penn State, the OC, and this is the first time in Sean Clifford's long career that he's had an OC for 2 years in a row, or the same OC 2 years in a row. So I think that continuity will be good for him. Manny Diaz is the defensive coordinator, and that's a name you haven't heard in a long time. But I just think having another head coach, on that coaching staff helps James Franklin, and I think the defense will be good, as Penn State's defense normally is. So I think they got a chance to have a good season, and obviously with the last couple of years of how Penn State's finished, it's an important year for James Franklin after getting that massive extension.
That's exactly right, and I'll say this: that division is so tough.
It is.
It's brutal.
That division is absolutely brutal. That and the SEC West and the SEC East is coming up. Tennessee's looking better. It's interesting to see what South Carolina's going to do. Mark Stoops has Kentucky, has elevated their game. Like Beyonce said, let me upgrade you. And I will continue, Adam, to stand on the highest mountain and scream that Mark Stoops is the best coach in Lexington, Kentucky. And it's not even close. He does less with more than anybody, and Cal does more with less. Excuse me, let me flip that.
Flip it.
Yeah, now the suits are messed up. Cal does less with more than anybody, and Mark does more with less than anybody.
All right, I'm going to go, Adam. I know a lot of college football talk. Let's talk a little NFL. I want to talk to Miami Dolphins. All right, you go through a head coaching change. You see all the pieces that get added around 2 of this year. I believe the over and under wins that are at 9. Are you buying that over at 9, or are you taking the under?
Oh, 9's a tough one. 9's tough. I think I'd go over because I like the Dolphins this year. But it may be a stay away for me though. Nine's
I don't blame you.
9's a tough one. But like you said, they added some weapons finally, so Tua's got some talent around him. I think Chase Edmonds is a really good running back. When he was healthy in Arizona, I mean, he made some big plays for that offense, but just seemed like couldn't stay on the field. Obviously, Tyreek, you're adding him. I think Mike Gesicki is a game changer at tight end for them. So. Yeah, so I think Tua's finally got some talent, and Mike McDaniel is obviously a young, energetic, exciting coach, and Mike Gesicki's a good buddy of mine, and I was talking to him, and he was just ecstatic about this new system and Tua and kind of the trajectory of that offense. So I think they'll be able to score points, and as you guys know in the NFL right now, if you can score points, you got a chance. So I think they're gonna be pretty good.
I feel like with the Dolphins, with the new head coach, he's bringing in such a different flavor. And Adam, kind of tell me, I'd be interested to see what Mike thought about this. It's almost like when they went into the library and they're like, hey, the new head librarian, we're not using the Dewey Decimal System anymore. They're just going to put it in a computer. Yeah. Like, that's the vibe I get from the Dolphins. Like, he's like the new age guy that came in there. Not that the Dolphins were running some archaic offense, they're not running the triple option of the wing T out there, but to me it's just the vibe's kind of like new. Like all of a sudden there's some sort of like vegan restaurant inside of the field house, and there's a lot of different colors and there's paintings everywhere. I don't know, am I crazy thinking that, Adam?
I think you're right. I mean, I think the Dolphins needed a little bit of a culture change, and I think they got it. And Mike McDaniel, he's the cool, hip, young coach, and I think just you guys were talking earlier, and I mentioned a couple times, just the continuity part of it. Now, I think that the Dolphins will have an identity with Mike McDaniel, and I think that's what they lacked on offense, for so long. No one even knew who was calling plays last year for the Dolphins. I mean, no one even knew who the offensive coordinator was. And from the sounds of it, it was changing week to week. I mean, I think that just having a guy who has a plan and is, focused on the offense and just have some kind of system there that they're sticking to every week, I think will be a benefit to Tua, because he's been in a tough spot the last couple of years.
Definitely. Identity. You cannot perform if you don't know who you are. Sure. And once you don't know who you are, you're going to go out there and just try and guess. Adam, man, great stuff. Tell everybody where they can find your content. I knew it was a good idea to bring you on, my friend.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, TikTok, everything at Adam Breneman 81, and find my podcast on YouTube. Search Adam Breneman, and it was fun being on here, guys, and congrats on all the success with this show. It's been fun watching all the episodes.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, we're gonna get you back soon, man. Great job, and keep kicking ass out there.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right.
See ya.
If you want to watch the rest of this show, remember we're going to have the audio here as well. You can head over to dailywire.com, become a member, or listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and share it with all your friends. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to be right back with some more great sports analysis. So glad you decided to stay. Garcon, Blaine, Booster Club.
All right, Jimbo Eagle, he asked, do you think the Dolphins will outperform the Patriots this season?
Okay, I love the Tyreek Hill edition. I love Jalen Waddle. I love Gesicki. I love Edmonds. I'm just not a believer in Tua in the NFL. I don't think he can stay healthy. I just don't. So if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Said this yesterday. And I hope Tua stays healthy. I really hope he does because he's talented. But I do not trust Tua to stay healthy. I just don't. I hate prognosticating stuff when I know there's a good chance you're going to end up like Mr. Potato Head with your arms and legs strawn out all over the 20-yard line. So while I want to believe in it, I believe in Mac Jones. I think Mac can stay healthy. I think he can. Now, do the Patriots have enough around Mac? Compared to what the Dolphins have, not even close. But since I don't think Tua can stay healthy, I'm going to have to default to the Patriots here. It's a great question, but it's the truth to me.
All of your reservations with Tua strictly his ability to stay healthy? Or
and the deep ball a little bit. And I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, he doesn't have the arm strength to be able to throw the deep ball. I think he's somewhat struggled in the NFL, the timing of the deep ball. And he doesn't have the strongest arm of all time, but his arm is strong enough. I think he struggled with the timing of the deep ball in the NFL. You could get away with some things at Bama because your guys are running 6 yards past everybody. Yeah. But injuries are a real thing. And you have to take that into account, especially at the quarterback position, the most important position on the field. So my reservations are strictly because I do not think that Tua can stay healthy.
Gotcha.
All right, Joe C., is the Big 12 currently a better conference than the ACC?
So when I always like to look at the top shelf. Let's go over the top shelf real quick.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the ACC. Obviously Clemson. Right? Mm-hmm. Miami, right? You put Wake up there?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
You putting Wake up there? Okay.
NC State.
NC State. Those to me are your four. North Carolina, we know they have talent. I mean, I saw Greg McElroy and I think Cole Kubick, our buddy, picked them to win their division in the ACC. I'm not as sold on North Carolina this year. They've lost a lot to the league over the past couple of years, and that's a compliment to Mac Brown. I know Gene Chizik is there as the DC now at North Carolina, but I still think, speaking of taking time, that's going to take a little more time. So when I look at those top four, and I do like what Hafley at Boston College is doing, I think, again, this guy's a rising superstar that people are going to really start to know the longer he is at Boston College because I think they're going to have more success. Dino Babers, I think, has gone to the clown at Syracuse after this year. But then when you look at the Big 12, you have Oklahoma. You have Texas. You have Baylor, who's shown us they're for real. I know they lost a lot. I know Oklahoma State lost a lot. And then you have kind of that back end. I think Kansas State's going to have a heck of a year. That's obviously why I had them 7-2 in my picks. So right now, from the top to the bottom, though, when you're looking at the top to the bottom, I think the Big 12 is a little bit better.
I agree with you, even though I will say when I was making my list earlier and I'm hearing that question now, I realize I have sort of mentally moved on from Texas and Oklahoma being in the Big 12 because there's been so much of us talking about them joining the SEC and figuring out how is that going to play out and future matchups. So if the Big 12 is slightly better than the ACC right now in football, and then they lose two of those big powerhouses at the top, then I think that's a great opportunity for the ACC, especially as Miami's starting to come back. I think Florida State's not going to be down forever. If these other schools like a Wake or like an NC State can continue to build, or even our boy Jeff Collins maybe over at Georgia Tech, you never know. The ACC could start to solidify itself as a legit football conference moving forward.
Miami is the most intriguing team in college football to me this year. They are the most intriguing with Mario, with Van Dyke returning at quarterback. I'm so interested to see how well they do year one, because while we talk about year one, it's kind of tough for some coaches. A lot of times, though, year one is when you can sneak everybody. Gus Malzahn at Auburn in 2013. I can go down the list. There's been multiple examples of coaches coming in year one, balling, then the book's out on you a little bit, and then it kind of tapers off, and that's when you see coaches end up either going somewhere else or being fired.
Especially when you're offensive focused, right? That's why I don't think that'll necessarily happen with Venables.
That's why
at Oklahoma.
That's why I think you saw Oregon hire Dan Lanning. Okay. I'm telling you, and I know Mario Cristobal at Oregon, they were physical and smash mouth, but you still think of Oregon as what? Offensive, right?
Yeah.
Still got a little bit of that Chip Kelly. Yeah, that's exactly right. But I think that shift they're realizing, and now how smart of a decision does that look if Oregon ends up in the Big Ten, let's say, which I think they're going to end up in the Big 12, but they're waiting on that Big Ten invite.
All right, Travis Elrod, is James Franklin, the coach, more suited for making a smaller school competitive than managing a giant school like Penn State?
It's a good question. I think James Franklin is a good coach. I think he's proven that he can be a good coach, but right now, after what happened in the offseason, where they thought he was going to head off to see the prettier girl in the sunshine in USC, and they ended up, throwing him that mega contract at Penn State after the last 2 years. And Adam said it himself, the expectations at Penn State are high, and they should be. The loyalty of the Penn State fan base is nuts. They have an unbelievable following. Just look at a game in Beaver Stadium. Mm-hmm. It looks like an alien invasion when they have a whiteout. So putting coaches into categories like that, I feel like is tough, because I understand if you're questioning a coach that maybe just went from being a coordinator to a head coach. I think a better question is, can you be a guy that goes from the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator to the head coach? Because that's a totally different way of thinking. That's a totally different job. That's a totally different way of having to operate with the whole team, as opposed to a coach that can build up a smaller school but can't do it at a big school. I don't buy into that for James Franklin, but if he doesn't do something or make a big move this year or beat an Ohio State or something like that, I think you're going to see Penn State. They go 7-5 or even 8-4. You're going to start hearing a little bit of chirping from Penn State, especially because they backed the Brinks truck up to the Franklin house this past offseason.
Part of that's just it's so difficult to win now. It's so difficult to win.
In that division, too. You're literally in the second best division in all of college football. I mean, you've got the AFC, the NFC, the SEC, and then you got the Big Ten East.
The good thing is we're going to find out a lot about them early.
We will.
Because that game at Purdue on Thursday night is going to be a dogfight. And then week 3, you go to Auburn. We're going to find out a lot soon about
You mean Purdue, the team that's going to win the Big Ten West?
That's what I have as well.
Right.
We both have that.
I love where your head's
But I have Penn State winning that game.
See, now I don't like where your head's at.
You see
Now
that?
the suits are messed up.
That's exactly right.
Now the suits are
My
messed
suit's
up.
never
Looks
messed
like
up.
ketchup.
You've seen me in
I
suit.
mean, you do look good in suits. You do that. All right, M. Hutton, question for the guys. That's us. Who wins in a neutral site football game? The Kansas Jayhawks or the Vanderbilt Commodores?
Whoo! Anchor down.
Yeah. Fourth place.
Yeah.
Kansas did beat Texas
At that game,
at Texas last year.
The fans at that game, there are dozens of us. Dozens. I'm going to say Kansas because they're more dynamic at quarterback.
Give me Vandy.
Yeah, I'm taking Vandy, too. They're the heart of the SEC. Let's be honest.
I just don't think Vandy cares.
They do.
Why,
I think they're. I think.
Why fire coaches?
Because again, you got to make it look like it at least a little bit when you're making $40 million a year out that SEC contract.
It depends on if they're kicking onside kicks and squib kicks for Vandy.
Don't even get me started, David. Don't even get me started.
All right, Joe C. says, when I watch Tua, it looks like he has to work harder than any other quarterback to throw it more than 15 yards.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, he does. He has to max effort. He's like the guy that has to max effort to throw 92.
But he's one of the best slant throwers I've ever seen in my life.
No, look, short game, intermediate passing game, to as good. And again, I'm not saying his arm strength isn't good enough to get it there, but to me, it's the timing of it. It just seems like a tick slow. I mean, it's a tick wide. It's just, it keeps kind of piling on. But again, I just hope he stays healthy so we can see a full body of work in a full season.
Someone else, now that I'm thinking about it, like Drew Brees looked like he put a lot of effort into every throw, right?
Yeah.
But put the ball wherever he wanted.
See, that's why it's so funny when you watch Kyler Murray because he's not big. It looks like he's just effortless slinging the ball 70 yards. It's just amazing how different people are. But you know what? Speaking of quarterbacks, Cone, there was something we saw yesterday on Twitter that we need to fix.
Oh, yeah, the PFF graphic.
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw this graphic up. And look, I get it. We're in the sports media business, okay? Some people do things to shock people and get clicks. We try not to do that. We don't do that. You just may disagree with me at some point. But I'll say this. Whenever you're looking at a graphic, something like this or a ranking, and the first thing underneath it is the same tweet or same company that tweeted there's a 40% off sale, hard for me to really think there's a ton of objectivity. So you're looking at PFF colleges per Anthony Treesh, top 10 quarterbacks. He's got Bryce Young, number 1. No complaints there. And then it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Caleb Williams, number 2. Okay. Spencer Rattler, number 3. No. And C.J. Stroud, number 4. I'm going to tell you, C.J. Stroud's going to win the Heisman this year. It'll come down to Bryce and C.J., but C.J. will win it. Alabama won the Natty. Then Sam Hartman, 5. Grayson McCall, 6. Brennan Armstrong, 7. Dylan Gabriel, 8. Keaton Slovis, 9. And Tyler Van Dyke, 10. My biggest problem with this list, and I want to say this to South Carolina fans, when it comes to Spencer Rattler, I would really be in more of the under-promise and over-deliver type than hype this guy up like he's going to win the Heisman. I think Spencer Rattler at 3 is a pipe dream, to say the least. I think Caleb Williams at 2, even though they have Mario Williams and you got Lincoln Riley out there, I think that's a pipe dream. To me, I don't know how you don't go Bryce Young and then C.J. Stroud. I've got no problem with Sam Hartman 5. Hell, I got no problem with Grayson McCall 6. Brennan Armstrong, to me, him and Jake Haener, maybe the 2 most underrated quarterbacks in the country coming into this season. So with Dylan Gabriel and Slovis and Van Dyke, you can make an argument for that. But I just don't see, after everything that has gone on, in what Dr. Seuss upside-down Stranger Things world that Spencer Rattler's number 3, Blaine?
I mean, it goes back to this, and I tweeted this the other day. I don't understand how a guy who got benched in a Lincoln Riley system is going to go to South Carolina and just ball out.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. If there's something that I don't know, then please tell me. I'm all ears. But other than that, another thing that makes me upset about this list is a name that's not on there, and that's Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, or KJ Jefferson.
Okay, I have 2 more on top of that. But
Hendon Hooker or KJ Jefferson. I mean, I'm fine with the Grayson McCall, Sam Hartman. I believe in it. C.J. Stroud should be number 2 on this list. And I'd watch out for Caleb Williams, what you said too. Caleb Williams made a lot of mistakes last year. I know he was young. I know he's a true, but that's fine. But he made a lot of mistakes. Jordan Addison will help with that. But how you can honestly go over this list and look at it when you're done and be like, you know what, Spencer Rattler's in the right place. I don't understand. Okay,
so let me say one thing for the South Carolina fans, because we've been on record as saying, or at least I have, saying that this was a great pickup for South Carolina.
No, it was a really good pickup.
When you have a GA playing quarterback last year, this is a great pickup for Shane Beamer. But there are levels to this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's going to have the number 3 season right there. You guys talking about Hendon Hooker and KJ Jefferson getting left off. How about Will Rogers and Devin Leary getting left off?
Yeah, I can't believe Leary went off.
Look, I like Bryson McCall, okay, but I think he's a little too high on this list.
Well, 2, I want to make sure. I know Spencer Rattler has Stogner, okay? I know they have a couple other pieces. But South Carolina fans, especially the smart ones, because every fan base has smart ones, they have dumb ones, they have crazy. Fan is short for fanatical. They realize, and Coach Beamer and Coach Stepp and the rest, the expectation should be high at South Carolina, I get it. But that roster is not where it needs to be, okay? For Spencer Rattler to have this type of success, he needs a ton of dogs around him. And he just doesn't have that right now. And I think that's just how it is. Caleb Williams, I'll say this as well. That offensive line's a problem at USC. And if they start getting into the Caleb Williams just run around and try and lot, you're going to see more turnovers than a bakery at that place out there in SoCal. Also, another thing, Hendon Hooker not being on the list, KJ Jefferson not being on the list, absolutely blows my mind. You're going to put Keaton Slovis on the list. Tyler Van Dyke at Miami, I have him in my top 10. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. That kid is a great thrower of the football. I think he's going to make a big jump. I love his athleticism as well. But this list to me,
well, also,
it's
Keaton
just
Slovis doesn't play for Southern Cal.
Yeah, he plays for Pitt. So. Again, by the way, if Southern Cal did have 2 of the top quarterbacks, that'd be pretty interesting. But Keaton Slovis transferred to Pitt. Very interested to see how they do out there. Speaking of Jordan Addison, Blaine, I do want to say, and by the way, that's their graphic, not ours. So they put
that's not ours.
See, that's not our mistake. Apparently, Jordan Addison's not exactly happy with everything out there in Southern California.
What you get?
Allegedly,
what did he say?
Allegedly, these NIL deals haven't exactly came through the way that it was promised.
Wow.
And if that's the case, that is a stigma that is radioactive.
Man.
It is unbelievably hard to wash off. And if you told a kid you were going to pay him and you didn't end up paying him, Lincoln and them are in trouble. They better make sure how the hell this deal isn't done, how this wasn't buttoned up the minute you offered him, really starts to make me a little bit nervy. They gave Lincoln the biggest house in SoCal. They said you can use the jet whenever. We're going to give you hamburgers with gold buns, but y'all better be able to pay Jordan Addison because Lincoln Riley's not catching one pass for Southern California.
I really hope my boy DC3 is in the chat today because I talked with him the entire ride home yesterday about this exact same thing because I was telling you guys about the high school coach in Georgia who was saying one of his players who's gotten an offer from all the SEC schools went out to Southern Cal, got offered a huge NIL deal, plus guaranteed money every single season that you're there. Dave and I were talking about what happens if some of these things aren't properly channeled through clearinghouses, some of the promises that are made on the NIL front. What can a player do then legally if they're not presented with the NIL money or think about things on top of that, like flying your family out from Georgia to USC, which I think was part of this package for this kid. Like, what can you do from a legal standpoint if part of the NIL payments don't come through, but those weren't legal from the start?
Well, to me, it's all contractual. If y'all did like a "Hey, I trust you" handshake on it, and then it's one thing to get negative recruited from coaches when those coaches are recruiting a player and they bash another school. It's another thing when the players are negative recruiting the school. That is a totally different animal to have to deal with, and it is 100 times worse. So if USC better go ahead and button this up. It needs to get taken care of. You better make Jordan Addison happy, because this thing could go downhill really quickly,
This is a
a fat kid on the bottom of a mountain.
This is a great lesson for anybody who wants to do the NIL stuff and transfer because of that. I promise you, sometimes that grass is not always greener on that other side, buddy.
Where did he say this?
Oh, this has
been
going on the
everywhere.
past couple days.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at Instagram posts, and I mean, everything's on social media now. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out. I would be shocked if this didn't get handled.
Hey, I'm going to update you boys here on the Open. Obviously, Justin Rose withdrew from the Open earlier with back pain. Disappointing. Cameron Young, 8 under with a 64 in the
number
clubhouse.
2
Jake,
there,
you'll be
Tom?
happy to know your boy Rory finished with a
Oh,
66.
somebody
6
stop
under.
me.
Cam Smith, 5 under. Wait, who was your horse? Zalatoris?
What?
How's Zalatoris?
He was at even.
I had Cam Smith.
No,
You had Cam Smith.
right.
Now you had
No,
Cam.
so I had like a 6. I entered one of those things.
And I'm
with
having to
somebody
scroll
about
awful
the
far
game
for
for
John
Liverpool.
Rahm. +1, man.
What's Zalatoris at?
I can't find Zalatoris, man.
Who did you pick?
I had John Rahm. He's
Great.
at +1.
It's a long way to go, man.
Yeah.
There's a long way to go. You
Yeah.
can't. The first round, you just got to kind of hang around. Now, you can lose it in the first round if you just go out there and drop a bomb. Which,
Tiger?
by the way, I saw Ernie Els hit 1 and 2 an apartment. I mean, it looked like me after about after a couple handful of cold sodas.
I have some Thursday trivia, British Open edition here.
Oh, can't wait! I've been so good.
John Daly beat Constantino Rocca in the Open Championship in what year? It was in
John
the playoff.
Daly.
John Daly.
Oh, that was a great year.
What
that
year?
was. Oh, that we all know what year that was. That was the year of the Dragon.
Okay. And Blaine.
Stop looking it up.
I'm looking for Zalatoris. I keep scrolling down. Oh, Tigers +5. Told you I ain't making a cut.
I just wanted him to be healthy.
God, John Daly beat who?
He beat Constantino Rocca
He beat Constantine.
Tough.
In
in a
1430.
playoff in the British Open in what year?
Let's go.
I'll say 97.
97. Okay.
I'll go 94.
95.
Oh!
God.
Why can't I can't
Come
hit
on.
bet in baseball? I get,
How about this one?
Yesterday in the poll, I guess 57. You say 58, and it's 59. Just take
One of those
me
ones.
now.
Who is the
It's one of
only
those ones.
British Open champion to break 70 in all 4 rounds at St. Andrews?
Shia
Give you
LaBeouf.
Multiple choice.
Uh,
Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, or Greg Norman?
give me Jack Nicklaus.
Okay.
That's gonna be Greg Norman, isn't it? Oh, man.
Break 70 all 4 rounds.
Yeah, at St. Andrews.
Oh, I blew it.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Oh,
Tiger Woods.
enough of trivia. Move on.
on.
Mailbag. Okay, kill him.
Mailbag? All right, mailbag here. Leftover. Here we got one from Zachary Jerome. New Booster Club member here. Go Blue! Exclamation mark.
Okay, good.
That's
Another
it's
one.
just off to a good start. You know, I have 2 questions. With many conferences expanding to 16 teams, but only having 8 or 9 conference games, do you think we might see some of them expanding their conference championships to a 4-team playoff?
That's a great question.
It is.
I don't think you will see that, though. I don't think you'll have the playoff inside of the playoff. So what you're really saying is almost like a super regional, right? That's kind of how you got to look at it. It's basically a super regional, or it's the amount of regional teams in college baseball of, I guess you'd say 4, because 2 is not a playoff. I don't think you'll see that, just like I don't think you'll see relegation. It's an interesting idea, but so is lowering the rims in women's basketball, which I am a fan of, by the way. But no, I don't think we'll see that seismic of a shift in it. Because, again, if you're going to add games within the conference, you're going to start messing with the regular season. Now, I know with the 16 teams, you add the 9th game for the SEC, which I think is great. But if we're going to start adding playoffs within the conference to be able to get to another playoff, then you're adding more games and you're going to have to cut the regular season down. And when you add more teams to a conference, then try and cut the regular season down. It's kind of right now how, wages are going down and inflation's going up. Typically, those things don't happen together.
College football is just slowly turning into Inception.
What?
A playoff inside of a playoff inside of a playoff at another neutral site inside of another playoff.
So you got to spin the dreidel when you get there to make sure.
Second question here from Zachary. With USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten, there's been a lot of talk about them having to play in cold weather. Having grown up in Tennessee but currently living in Michigan, I know that the winter weather can be brutal. Yeah, tell me about it, Zachary. I was at the Michigan-Ohio game last November, and it did seem to cause problems for Ohio. See, that's how you know Zachary gets it, Will this be a problem for USC and UCLA, especially if there is some sort of home field advantage in an expanded playoff?
Well, I keep – weather is a factor. It is a factor. And let's really think about it. How many cold weather games has USC really played in? A lot of those kids are from California, okay? So doesn't snow a lot out there in California. You're not – imagine having to go up to Iowa at the end of the year, or Iowa State, or Michigan, hell, everybody in the Big Ten. I mean, it snows everywhere in the Big Ten. It's not as much the cold weather because once you start running and going, when you get on the sideline, that's when it's a problem. But now we have science and math and technology that helps you with that. It's trying to catch the ball and doing the little things and protecting the ball and blocking, having to move your feet and block while it's a little bit slippery. There's so many things that go into it that's not just how cold it is. I think we kind of get locked into the temperature. It's like when it's raining. Raining, you're not really worried about it being too cold. You're worried about it messing with the ball. It's tougher to catch the ball. Well, it's hard to get your footing. It's hard to do the normal things that you do. So when you're used to running out there in SoCal where the weather's great, they make songs about it all the time, and all of a sudden you're up there in Ames, Iowa, and it looks like, you're draped up like the kid from the Christmas Story. You can't even move. It makes it a little bit tougher, actually a lot tougher in my opinion, and it's a mental thing. A lot of it is mental. So I think you'll see it maybe early with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. You'll see it early that it affects them, but it is good repetition if you're going to play a playoff game in cold weather. But why the hell would they make you play a playoff game in a place in cold weather? They always do it in Texas or Cali or places like that, or in a dome.
But
so,
like we've said, if they expand the playoff, it may move to a situation where some of the early rounds you have home field advantage.
Well, I hope they do that, but I am not banking on them. Everybody keeps saying, they're going to let you play the first round of expanded playoff at home. Until I see that, I don't believe it because I know this is about money. And they would much rather put that thing in Atlanta, or they'd much rather put that thing in Dallas or Los Angeles or places like that, those big metropolitan cities, than let you go to Knoxville. Even though it'd be great for Knoxville, you fill that bad boy up like they typically do. And I wish they would do that, Cone. I really do. That's why I feel like I think if you're a number 1 seed in the college basketball tournament at March Madness, I feel like you should play your first 2 games at home. But that's just me.
Interesting.
Well, I'm going to go back to this from a receiver who played down in high school in Mobile where it's always hot and it might rain for 10 minutes to go and play football in Western Colorado. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's
a real thing.
It legitimately is so hard.
Starting when? Like the first 6 seasons are fine, or the first 6 weeks are fine. September and the first half of October, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the last 6 weeks.
It's like it's almost you went from catching a football to catching a cinder block. You went from getting tackled. I've got hit before and being okay to getting barely touched and your skin feels like it's falling off. Just every little thing, it's like Tua throwing. Every little thing you do is that much harder, and those guys are built. The guys from there are built different.
Yeah.
The linemen are out there with no sleeves, small socks, nothing on them, just absolutely going out. And I'm a kid from the South. Hell, my legs didn't work for the first 3 weeks I was there because it was so cold. It changes a lot. It takes time for you to get used to that. And you might never fully get used to it. And if you play a certain position, a skill position, maybe a running back or a wide receiver, it's so much harder. You want to talk about catching with your body. I was a big hands guy. When I get up there, I started catching everything with my body because my fingers would break when I tried to catch the ball. Catching the ball in 15-degree weather is almost impossible.
I remember my worst one was in the big house. We were playing Northwestern. It was so cold. If they had said you can stay in the locker room at halftime, I would have been down for that.
I slept with an electric blanket.
And the thing was, I was redshirting, so I wasn't playing. The starters are out there running around, staying warm, and the second they come off, you have to move away from the heaters.
Yeah, Cone's over there like the Revenant. Like
I'm dying
inside a horse,
fighting a bear.
Yeah, it's like sleeping inside a horse eating pine cones.
I'm gonna be like Harrison Ford in Star Wars.
Just trying to find Cone's over there trying to find Tom Hardy just to kill him after killing his son.
Oh man!
All right, Blake, Booster Club. I'm gonna head over to the board of intrinsic value, trust, justice for truth, and LeBron sucks.
All right, Pop Elite 90 start, bench, cut, James Conner, Zeke, Saquon.
Oh.
Saquon.
I know Saquon hadn't stayed healthy, but I'm going to start Saquon.
I am too.
I'm going to bench Zeke, and I'm going to cut James Conner.
I have that.
I'm sorry, it's a
I
great
have that
story,
exact list right there.
That exact list right there. All right,
I still believe in Saquon.
Zalatoris is 8.
So both your guys are +1 and minus 6 under.
Yes.
Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane Company, is NIL going to open up schools to lawsuits?
Yes. Well, it's all how it's structured. That's why when you put no guardrails on something and you just let it run wild, it's going to happen. There's going to be lawsuits on both sides. I mean, you're going to have I'll tell you the greatest irony of all, when they do try and put guardrails on it, they're going to get sued for that. Mm-hmm. There's going to be more antitrust than Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Devin21, real quick, about that Big Ten SEC matchup chart on Twitter. I believe all three of us saw that.
Yep.
Which SEC teams do y'all have losing?
We are going to hit that
break
tomorrow.
That down tomorrow,
break that down tomorrow. We only have an hour. We're going to break that down tomorrow.
And it's not going to be pretty. Let me just tell you that. It's not going to be
Michigan's
pretty.
not beating Georgia?
No. Look. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Were all the bad mailbag questions guys from Michigan?
No, just that one.
Yeah, everybody's like, hey, man, I'm from Muskogee.
Yeah, I thought it was
blue.
First and second one.
All right, look, at this point during the month, I've already told you I'm not a huge fan of betting baseball, but what happened to me last night with the Cardinals and the Dodgers can only be described in one word, and I'm not legally allowed to say that on air. But what I will say is, to everyone in St. Louis, from the East Bay to everywhere else that is associated with the Cardinals organization, Albert Pujols, Joe Torre, any of them.
Put an Albert in there?
I will never, ever forgive you for that.
You put Wainwright in there?
Wayno, he did his job. You're up 6-2.
Albert like that.
You're up 6-2 in the 7th.
I got to paint one for you too.
And look me in the eyes and laugh at me. And laugh at yourself. Well, guess what? Who's laughing now? Nobody, because you pissed me off. So, today,
Cardinals to win.
Probably should fade me. You want to be honest? Probably should fade me. What I'm about to say, you should probably pick the opposite. Unless it hits, and then you should have listened.
No, you're hot right now.
You're running away with it.
I'll tell you what.
You got in the bag.
Look, there's some things I'm going to sit up here and take, and then there's other things I'm going to turn around and let you know how I feel. We're all now dumber from that. So today, who cares? Let's go back to the Cardinals-Dodgers Nerfy.
Yes.
Plus 102, which means it'll be 7-6 after the first. So, best of luck. And then, Blake Snell. Last 2 games he's played, had 12 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts.
He's starting to pitch better.
Over 5. Why do you do that? Stop.
Truth.
Just being supportive.
God, you can't take a compliment, man. Jeez.
I knew I should have kicked you in that point. Anyways, Blake Snell, over 5.5 strikeouts. That's going off at plus 115. So if you like your money, I would probably take Blake Snell under 5.5 strikeouts, and I'd probably put the rent on somebody scoring in the first inning of the Cardinals-Dodger game. Cone, you're having a good month, man. Congrats.
Coming to me. Thanks. Yeah, just trying to catch up.
Running away with it.
I get your question now. You were talking about both of those Booster Club questions?
Yeah.
No, it was a 2-parter from the same guy.
You have to yell at me.
Well, I'm just explaining the
Cone,
situation.
please stop yelling at
I'm not
everybody
yelling
else.
at you. You know what I mean?
You're too tall to me. You have voice
Yell my picks here.
modulation.
I feel good about these picks tonight. Okay.
I feel great about them too.
I'm excited. You feel good about them too.
About your
I'm excited about
that
them.
must be a great feeling.
Here,
I wish
little
I could
same
burn
game,
mine in front of
same
everybody
game
in this
parlay
city.
here. All right. Dodgers money line plus the over 8.5. All right. That's at plus 165. Plus 165. I like that. And then Blue Jays score first and win at minus 120. I think the Royals had like 10 players who couldn't go play in the game because they weren't
unvaccinated.
vaccinated.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, and Blue Jays fired their manager. You got to get up for the skipper. You know what I mean?
I understand.
By the way, Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit a home run that looked exactly like it was like off the deck, like his father,
like his pops?
Vlad Guerrero Sr. And I literally tweeted out like that is the most pure definition of stunting like your daddy I've ever seen in my life.
All right, there's certain thing that hurts me when it comes to betting, and that's when you are down a lot, then make it close, then lose.
That's the worst.
So I took the Yankees Reds, the Yankees to be up either 1 or 2 runs in the first 5 innings. So I'm at my apartment cleaning up a little bit. I just moved in. So I'm looking at my phone. It's the first inning. I look up, and the Reds are up 4-0. Top of the first. I was like, well, it wasn't going to hit anyways.
Yeah.
So put it down. The Dodger game, I had a nerfie that was going to come on in a little bit. I was like, who cares? So I got bored, and I was like, might as well look it up. I look up, top of the 4th. The Yankees are up 5-4.
We in there?
I was like, there's no way. And the nerfie already hit. I was already banking on the nerfie. The nerfie already hit. So I'm watching it. So they get to the 5th. The Reds score 2 runs and go up 6-5. So just that one hurts. I believe the Yankees end up winning that.
Hold on one second. I have one for that.
Yeah, Blaine. I mean, Blaine, so what are you picking today, Blaine? You're 16-6 on the month, man.
Yeah,
I'm
one
putting
and
your
one.
Nikes on and running away with it.
All right, I'm taking Cubs and the Mets. Keegan Thompson on the mound. Went against them. Wasn't even close to hitting a single ball he pitched. So definitely 3 pitches, then I'm out. Then I'm going Giants. Milwaukee nerfie. All right, both are nerfies. I'm not going to go. Why go away from it if it's working?
No, that's exactly. Look, you never go broke.
I'm pretty sure I'm 13-2 right now in nerfies. So let's just keep it rolling. I got on the website today, looked up some stats, took a pill, saw some numbers start popping everywhere. And next thing you know, I'm in Vegas sitting at the casino and people are asking me questions about nerfies. So it's going great. I'm trying to keep it going.
All that happened today?
You're the Rain Man of nerfie?
It happened yesterday.
Okay.
I'm back then.
Somebody out there, make the graphic, take the picture of Rain Man walking to the casino.
Not Rain Man.
Or the video and
Bradley
Blaine's
Cooper.
face on it with the nerfies.
Put my face on Bradley Cooper.
No.
On Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper's not the Rain Man.
Limitless. I said took a pill.
Yes, but then you reference sitting in a casino, people asking you questions. That's Rain
But
Man.
Bradley Cooper also did that. He went to the casino in that movie and he was playing blackjack.
Okay, so you're talking about you need to figure it out.
Well, you remember the one that we had at the you were Rain Man, and the graphic we had at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise. Yeah.
That was true. Was that Rain Man?
Yeah,
that is
it
exactly
was.
right.
It
I wasn't
was.
super jacked about that.
And tan or not?
So, yeah, Baby Cone, he wants the Braves -0.5, first 5 going off -155. Then he wants the Mariners, who have been just absolutely on fire.
They have.
Lately. Like, call the fire department. The Mariners first 5 +0.5 at -135. Let's sweep today, fellas. How about that?
Let's go.
Well, it's not going to happen because I like to say it before my bets don't hit. In baseball, I cannot wait to bet on football. Let me read these booster bets
You've
real
been taking
quick.
a lot of dog bets too, haven't you?
I've been bet. To me, what did I say? What did me and an apartment manager have in common? We're both about the what? It's all about the
Maybe you
units,
need to
man.
slide back over the mom.
No, I'm not. Listen, how about you let me live my truth? How about you do it your
What's
way
your
and I'll
truth?
do it my way?
What's your truth? I'll let you live it.
My truth right now is that I'm taking the dog bets.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Just stay in your lane, Vin Diesel. All right, so Simon Says Blogs, 5-0. Yankees money line, -195. Steve-O's best bets, 5-0. Astros money line, -174. JT Bryan, 91's 4-0. He wants the Brew Crew Giants nerfy, -175. Sammy V, 3-0. Reds Yankees, over a half run in the first inning. Anti-nerfy going off at -105. Nate Dogg, 2022's 3-0. Marlins money line. Revco 250, who went 12-0 at some point. 26 is 2-0. Reds Yankees over 8, -114. Williams DG is 2-0. Tampa Boston money line. He wants the Red Sox money line over the Rays. Midnight Crane to Georgia says, "Someone please fade me." Welcome to the team. Padres and Rockies under 11.5. Then Josh Young with 6 sevens behind his name. He wants the Braves. But Josh, it's -225. Remember, we cap it at -200. So we're gonna have to go to the board. I know you didn't do it on purpose. We'll give you the run line. That's what we'll give you. We'll give you Braves run line. So, Cone, Blaine, parting thoughts.
-145, a run and a half.
Let's do that.
Poll, boys. Ready for it? Who will win the Big 12?
Ooh, I like it. What are our choices?
Baylor, Oklahoma, or other?
Well, you already know I picked well, you're talking about what the Booster Club picked. I'm going to say the Booster Club agreed with me, and I think out of the 3, Oklahoma has the most at 41%.
I think Oklahoma and Baylor stole votes from each other, and it was other.
All right. Baylor, 36%. Oklahoma, 44%. Other 20.
I'm telling you. Look at that one. That's 2 days in a row. I'm telling you. I never looked at the poll, Blaine.
Kinda bummer
The
'cause I never
truth's
get to
coming
guess the
out.
polls.
The truth is coming out. And we're going to have some more truth tomorrow. We have a
Live your truth.
humongous guest coming on. It's going to be part 1 of a part 2 series. You are definitely going to want to check that out. So if you're not subscribed right now, what are you doing with your life? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're on TikTok, all that stuff. Appreciate Adam Breneman joining us, talking some college football, some Big 12, and like Baylor's chances of repeating as Big 12 champions of the world of champions.
Horns
We're
up,
going,
baby.
gone.